everyone. Today we're going to talk about the simple present with be and other verbs. Remember in the last lesson I talked about how we use simple present with be. We use simple present with be as the main verb when we're talking about nationality, profession or job, the location of something, the quality of something, how good or bad it is, the age of someone or something, the time of something, or someone or something's personality. Remember that for an affirmative sentence or statement, the structure or the sentence order is subject plus the be verb, am, is, or are, and there is usually a completer. So that means there are some words after the be verb. For example, James is a teacher. James and Janelle are teachers. Now, if you want to make a negative statement with the be verb, the order is subject plus the be verb, am, is, or are, not, and then the completer. For example, James is not a teacher, or James isn't a teacher. Excuse me. James and Janelle are not teachers. James and Janelle aren't teachers. This little mark should be over here. Now, what about yes-no questions with be verbs? For yes-no questions with be verbs, we have the be verb plus a subject and a completer. Am I in the right class? Is James a teacher? Are James and Janelle teachers? And for WH questions, the correct order is question word or WH word plus be verb, am, is, or are, and then the subject. Who are those people? What is his address? Where are your parents? And when is her birthday? Now, we're going on to the new learning. So what about when we need to use simple present with verbs that are not be? So first of all, when should we use simple present? Well, we use it to talk about actions that are repeated or usual. That means they're a habit or habitual action. For example, I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, or Andy walks her dogs in the morning and in the evening. The neighbors barbecue on the weekends. We also use it to talk about actions that are facts or general truths. I speak Portuguese. He lives in Sacramento. Birds fly. Fish live underwater. Now, there are some difficult spelling rules for simple present tense for the third person singular form. That's when third person singular means when the subject is he, she, or it. Now, if the word ends in s, x, sh, or ch, or o, instead of just adding s, like we usually do for third person singular, we add es. So miss, since it ends in s, we add es, and it becomes misses. Touch ends in ch, we add es, touches. Now, if the verb ends in a consonant plus y, so remember consonant are those letters that are not verbs, such as P, that ends in a consonant plus y, remove the y and add ies. For example, copy becomes copies, and worry becomes worries. For other verbs, you can just add s. For example, there it goes. With put, you put an s and it becomes puts. And what happened? I'm so sorry, everyone. Got a problem here. And then the other, we'll just go to the next page. So for affirmative, remember with I, you, we, and they, right? You should have this form. Subject plus the base verb plus a completer. I drive to school. Drive is the base verb. You and I, which is the same as we, love French fries. The dogs bark at strangers. Carla and Daniel take classes together. So notice in each case we have a subject, we have a verb in the simple present, and then we have a completer, some words after the verb. Now, with he, she, and it, or singular subjects, the organization of the sentence should be subject plus the base verb with s or es plus the completer. Yelena takes her kids to school. It rains a lot in January. She teaches at CRC. He goes to work at night. Nick fixes cars. So you can see here, when the subject is he, she, or it, or singular, we use s or es after the verb in simple present. What about negatives? With I, you, we, and they, or plural compound subjects, we use subject, do not, or don't as a contraction, the base verb, and a completer. I do not drive to school. We don't like French fries. The dogs don't bark at strangers. Carla and Daniel do not take classes together. Now, if the subject is he, she, or it, or a singular subject, we don't use do not. We use does not or doesn't, plus the base verb and a completer. Yelena does not take her kids to school. It doesn't rain in January. She doesn't teach at CRC. He does not go to work at night. And Nick does not fix cars. Now, what about questions? So for questions, with I, you, we, they, or plural compound subjects, the order is do plus the subject, pronoun, base verb, and a completer. Do you drive to school? Do you love French fries? Do the dogs bark at strangers? Do Carla and Daniel take classes together? But with he, she, and it, or singular subjects, the correct order is does, not do, does, plus the subject, the base verb, and a completer. Does Yelena take her kids to school? Does it rain a lot in January? Does she teach at CRC? Does he go to work at night? Does Nick fix cars? Now, those were yes/no questions. We also have WH questions when you want to get more specific information. So with WH questions, if the subject is I, you, we, or they, or plural compound subjects, you should have your WH word or question word plus do, the subject, the base verb, and a completer. When do you drive to school? Why do the dogs bark at strangers? Where do Carla and Daniel take English classes? How do you get to school? If the subject is he, she, or it, or a singular subject, we're going to use does, not do. Does. So in this case, we have WH word or question word, does, plus the subject, the base verb, and a completer. When does Yelena take her kids to school? What does she teach at CRC? Why does Andy walk to school? So that is the end of my presentation about the simple present with be verbs and other verbs. Good luck with your homework, everyone.